We come from the real estate world, right? Real estate investor. I'm also in the real estate world. And when it comes to development, all these new buildings, how important would it be to incorporate some of the things that can make that building a more healthy place? Whether it's installing the right type of water, the purifiers, like what is your thought on the real estate side?
Yeah, it's interesting because when we evaluate somebody who is trying to get their health back, lost their health, typically it's, I've tried everything, I still don't feel good. One of the things we have to evaluate is their buildings, their home and where they work. Why? What potentially are they being exposed to? Well, more than you think. First of all, mold, you don't ever see it. When you ask somebody if they have it, the answer is no, because they don't see it or smell it, or they had someone come in because maybe they thought and they did an air test, which 98% of the time is normal, because mold's behind the walls, right, in places we don't see. The way we build buildings in this country is a problem. When you go to Europe and you have these buildings that are 1,000 years old, how do they not have mold? Because they didn't use drywall with paper, right. Which happens to be the perfect mold food. All you have to do is add water and we have mold. Yeah,
especially in South Florida, because it's humidity. A much bigger problem here because of how wet it is compared to other parts of the country.
Yeah, so ERVs. Now in public buildings, it's a law where you have to have these return ventilators where they bring in fresh air, which in homes, you should put these in, but they don't, where they bring constant fresh air into the building. It drops humidity levels, but it also brings fresh air in, because the way we build homes is airtight, and all of the chemicals, the flame retardants, it's called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, all the things that they use, the adhesives, all of it, chemicals, paint, it's trapped in the home and doesn't get ventilated. So these systems are meant to return ventilate. Everyone should put one in their house. They're not that expensive. I always say it's more important than filtration, but we can talk about filtration too. Filtration has gotten cheaper and better, and it should be in buildings. So when we build buildings, we need to consider the materials we're using. You can buy non-VOC paints now. You can buy carpets that have non-VOC, volatile organic compounds. You can buy things with lower chemicals, and people are starting to pay attention. I have a lot of people who we trace back when they got sick, and it's when they built their new house, because all of a sudden now they're trapped in this chemical world, sleeping in it, in it almost all day long. So it's a concern. We have to look at environment.
And sometimes they don't even know, because, for example, I saw some videos on residential construction in wet areas, when in the process of being built, if the contractor's not watching the build properly, mold will go within the confine of the walls, and once it's done, you're like, oh, I have a brand new, beautiful house.
That's right.
It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And they're not the wiser of it, and I don't blame them. They don't know these things.
They don't know it. And it's a big, mold is a big problem. It affected you.
It's what I've been struggling with for years now.
It affected me.
And it's affecting many that don't even know about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And a lot of people that, the symptoms are weird, right? All of a sudden, the gut problem can start, and as a starting point. All of a sudden, it's like weird aches and pains, frequent urination, just massive fatigue. And here's one. All of a sudden, people gain weight, and they can't figure out why. They didn't change anything. Or you can't lose weight anymore, weight loss resistance, because biotoxins from mold. And I want to be clear to people that this is not a mold allergy. We're talking about biotoxic illness, meaning some people have a mold allergy to the mold spore, but we're talking about the toxin that mold produces is deadly. It affects the control tower of all your hormones, the hypothalamus, and that drives your pituitary, which drives your hormone. So then you can't sleep. You have weird anxiety, frequent urination, because it affects something called ADH, antidiuretic hormone. So all of a sudden you get these weird symptoms. People will chase them for years before they ever figure out that they have a mold problem. And here's the worst part, we talked about this too, is that now you become sensitized to that species of mold. So even if you move out of the house, you still have this weird sensitivity that, now you go into a building and you're like, I admit, I'm like, I don't feel good. What's going on? It's because you're overreacting.
Or we say even Lysol, going to some certain scents, lotions, your skin will become irritant.